Good morning. It's Wednesday, July 29th. I'm in my home office, which doubles as our guest bedroom. Um, it's not the most attractive place right now because we have a cat in here that we've dubbed Hostage Cat. She isn't being welcomed by one of the other members of our cat family, so she has been living in this guest room by herself for a while now because it's safer for her than to let her out into the population. So it's not a place I hang out a whole lot, so it's not a place that I make look really super attractive anymore. I kind of let the cat drive the decoration in here. Um, but anyway, her name is Chloe, just in case. We don't just call her Hostage Cat. She actually has a name too. And she's really pretty calico. She's getting fat and sassy. So she came to us sassy. She's just getting fatter, which at least means she's eating, so that's good. Um, but I digress. So I just wanted to talk today a little bit about ethics in magic, in spiritual work, and in energy work. We talked a couple of weeks ago about how to learn about crystals and things like that, and I've had people ask me about doing videos on spell work and things to do with crystals, and I thought before I really start to get into those kinds of things, I kind of want to talk about my own personal beliefs with ethics and how you use it, how you use ethics in the work that you present to other people and for yourself. I'd like to start by saying that everyone's ethics are driven by their own personal desires, needs, and understandings of the world around them. That being said, a really good rule of thumb for basic ethics when doing any kind of healing work for yourself or others is to not take away the free will of another being. Now, in my world, this goes so far as to even include prayer. I will not pray for a person and for their healing unless I know I have expressly been given permission, or I know without a doubt that it is okay to do prayer or work for that person. The converse to that is I don't want people to pray for me. I don't want people to do energy work for me. I don't want them to do spell work for me unless I know who they are and what their intentions are. The reason I say this is because what I deem, what I personally would deem highest and best for myself is not necessarily the same thing that you would deem highest and best for me, particularly if we're talking cross religions. I know that there are a lot of Christians out there that if I were to say to them, I'm praying for you, knowing that I am not specifically Christian, that could put fear in their minds as to whom I'm praying to, for starters, and what I am praying for. So I have to keep these kinds of things in mind when I do work with people. I will offer my services and my help to people, but I offer it and leave the offer on the table. They have to pick the offer up and sign it, essentially. So when I work with people, I want to make sure that I know where they're coming from, what their personal goals are, what their concerns and issues are, before I do step one of anything. If at any point through that process they talk about changing other people's will, changing other people's minds, whether it's somebody in a personal relationship or somebody in a professional relationship, or even somebody outside of the situation, that's when my flags start to go up and I start to have a conversation with this person about how we can change the situation from inside, not from outside. And what I mean by that is frequently if you're dealing with an issue, whether it's relationship or money or health or your role in this world, nothing will change until you have changed yourself first. Okay, you have to look at who you are, where you're going, and what your goals are before you worry about what everybody else is doing. And this goes in many different directions. People who want to do money spells, the first thing I ask people who want to do money spells is, well, what are you doing to bring money into your life? And they say, well, we're going to do magic. Okay, Before you do that magic, what are you doing to bring money into your life? Well, I want a better job. Okay, so are you applying? Are you searching for other jobs? Well, no, the universe will provide. The universe will provide when you take the first step. It's like the old saying, God helps those who help themselves. It's the same thing with the universe. The universe is more than happy to provide you with your bread and butter, but you have to show the universe that you know how to eat it, which means you have to show the universe that you know how to go to the grocery store and buy the bread. So when it comes to doing spell work, see what it is that you can do in the physical realm to kickstart it, okay, before you start doing spell work. When it comes to love magic, I say the same thing. I know I'm full of cliches today, but how's somebody else going to love you if you don't love yourself? That is step one. Make yourself the best whole person that you can before you concern yourself with who's going to love you. Because nobody's going to love you the way you actually deserve to be loved until you understand what your own worth is, at least to some degree. You have to love yourself. You have to love the body you walk in. You have to love the soul that drives you. You have to love the brain that thinks for you and allows for your communications. You have to love your quirks. You have to love your imperfections. All of that. You have to love yourself first, because anything that you stumble on where you don't allow you to love yourself, you're going to constantly feel like other people are picking on that, whether or not they are. And that's going to skew your perception in relationships. If you don't love the way you look because you're overweight, or, you know, your nose is crooked, or your body's the wrong shape, or whatever it is, your tendency to see other people pick on that issue of yours is going to be much greater, and chances are really good they haven't even really noticed it, or it doesn't bother them. But you're so fixated on those issues yourself and what's wrong with you. You're more fixated on what's wrong than what's right, that you forget to put your best self forward. I hope that makes sense. I'm kind of going through some issues on my own right now, which is sort of why I'm talking about this too. It's a little cathartic for me as well. But back to the idea of ethics. Now, back to the idea of love magic specifically. So people who want to do love magic, when you're doing your love magic, focus it on yourself. Focus it on making yourself a good whole being, because the last thing you really truly want is you really don't want to do love magic to somebody who is then compelled to love the illusion of you. You don't want somebody to love someone that doesn't exist. You wouldn't want to love someone that doesn't exist. So why would you compel someone else to love someone who doesn't exist? I mean, yes, you do physically exist. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that you're, you know, a creature of an imagination. But what I am saying is, if you're not presenting your true self and all you're presenting is this magical self, the person that in theory falls in love with you due to this magic is falling in love with an illusion. And at some point they will see through that illusion and become very disenfranchised with you, and the breakup will hurt. It will hurt a lot, because you will have gone from somebody who worships the ground you walk on to someone who despises you in a lot of cases. In love magic, do work for yourself. If you are really wanting to draw a person to you, don't be specific. When you send those hopes and wishes and energies out, ask for the person who will best help you to be your true and authentic self to find you. And then in that process, allow you to actually present your true and authentic self and who you really are. If you are living a true and authentic life, you can't go wrong. I mean, not everybody's going to love you. So what? It's good to have a few enemies in this world. It keeps you on your toes. But if you're living your true and authentic self, the universe can do nothing but provide you the things that will help you to stay your true and authentic self. Okay? It's like saying, you know, if you never tell a lie, you never have to worry about covering anything up. You know, be true and authentic. Be who you are. The same thing goes with crystal healing. If you're going to do healing work for another person, try and have their permission to do so. If you do not get their permission to do so, if you cannot get their permission to do so, and this goes for distance, this goes for vegetative states, coma state, any type of an unconscious state, or any non-communicative state, if you cannot or are not able to get their permission explicitly, when you send that energy, when I send that energy, what I choose to do is I choose to send it with the caveat, I send this energy for whomever. If they are not able, for whatever reason, to receive this energy, meaning if they choose not to, if they are not capable of it, if it is the wrong energy, whatever it is, if they are not able to receive this energy, may this energy go to where it is best served. Okay? What this means then is if I pour water into a cup that's overflowing, that cup is not able to receive anymore, may there be another vessel nearby for me to pour off into. Okay? So that that energy is not wasted, so that energy still has a purpose out in the world in which to function. And that allows that energy to transform and transmute and be used in many different ways. So, you know, if maybe there's a family member that's grieving or going through a lot of pain through this situation while trying to support the object of the healing session, then perhaps that energy can change itself and become a more compassionate, healing, and loving energy and supportive energy for that family member instead of for maybe that person in the sick bed. I also do it that way, so that way if there is a spiritual difference between what I'm sending and what they choose to receive on a spiritual level, then that energy can transform so that it can fit their spirituality better, instead of just being forced on them from where I come from. Because not everybody, understandably so, not everybody wants to receive a pagan blessing. It just is what it is, you know, and we're all wired differently. I feel the same way. I understand when people say that they want to pray for me. I understand what they mean on a deep level. I get that. I get that they truly do want me to feel blessed. They truly do want me to feel the touch of God and to feel loved and cared for. But it... trying to find a nice way to explain this one without sounding like a complete jerk. If I say to you, ISIS bless you, and you are not a follower of ISIS, you may almost actually take that as an insult, because you don't want ISIS blessing you. You don't follow ISIS. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Which is why I'm very careful about my blessings with people and my healing work with people. I don't want to offend somebody by using a deity that they don't relate to, or using an energy that they don't relate to, believe in, or even may even have a fear of or a discomfort of. That's not my goal in this world. So my ethics say to wait until asked, and then if I have to do work without being asked, that I send a general enough healing that it goes where it is most needed, and in the fashion it is most needed. But the basic breakdown that I'm trying to get to here is with ethics, don't do anything to somebody without their permission. Don't do anything without doing something for yourself first. Be aware of the changes that you can make within yourself before you go and make changes to the world around you. So I hope that's kind of understandable. I hope that helps some of you guys. We will start getting into some crystal work and some spell work here in the next few weeks. Yeah, as usual, if you enjoyed this, leave me a like, leave me a comment, leave me a suggestion if there's something else you want to see or hear about. And I hope you all have a really great day. Have a great weekend. It's going to be beautiful here, hot and sunny. Yes. And I'll see you all next week. Bye.